Well, here we are. It's April 6th, and if you can see, we're in a wheat field here in Ontario County, and it is greening up rather nicely. The wheat has awoken from dormancy, and it is looking for some food. It's looking for nitrogen. And I get a lot of questions right now. How do we estimate the amount of nitrogen that we need to put on these plants right now as they're greening up, and how much do we put on at stem elongation? And what we want to look at is the number of plants and tillers in a square yard. And so what I've done here, I've kind of worked ahead. We have our yardstick laid out here, and I've lightly dug up the plants so they're easier to count and separate here. And you just got to tease them apart a little bit, and you can see where the plants come apart, and we can count them as we go. But right here we had 47 plants in this yard of row. And to get the square yard, we bring this back over here. And ideally here on 7-inch rows, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows to make up that square yard. So we multiply the 47 times the 5, and I think it's roughly 235. So 235 plants in this square yard. But ideally we want to count the number of tillers per square yard. So what we do is we pick a couple plants and take some averages, but take a couple and spread them apart here and look at the number of potential heads and main stem and tillers we have here. This is a good example here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tillers on this, including the main stem there. And so to get the number of tillers per square yard, we multiply the 235 plants times, we have an average of 5 tillers per plant. We're almost 1,200 tillers per plant. So that's a lot. That's a lot of tillers in that plot. And so ideally we don't really want to add nitrogen. So the chart that we use, we're looking at, if we had 300 tillers per square yard or lower, we'd probably want to put 60 units of N on right now, and any remainder that you want to put on at stem elongation as it starts to elongate later on. If there's 450 to 600 tillers per square yard, we probably want to put 45 units of N on now, and the remainder on at stem elongation. If we're above 700 to 1,000 range, we'd probably want to put 30 on now, and the remainder later at stem elongation. In the case of this plot really being over 1,000, almost 1,200, I probably would recommend no nitrogen on at this time, and most of it on at stem elongation, a one-shot deal, because we really don't need this many tillers. There's a lot here. They're competing. We hope that maybe some of these smaller tillers will not be able to compete, and we'll just kind of slough off here and let the remaining healthier ones, provide most of the grain fill here, which it will. But in this plot, yeah, we probably want to hold off on the nitrogen to a one-shot deal later on, being over 1,200, almost 1,200 tillers per square yard. So there it is, April 6th. How to estimate nitrogen on wheat here using the tiller per square yard method.